This all reminds you what fucking bullshit all this fucking corporate bullshit is a direct quote from one of the interviews I did with people this week who are one of the 140,000 odd who have been laid off in recent months by the tech sector. Now, there's a few things I want us to consider. The first is that behind each of those 140,000 people is a person, is a household, is someone figuring out how to pay their bills, how to stay in the country that they're in, who they are, how they identify, and really fighting with some big emotions. And that really comes across strongly when you talk to people in this situation. The second thing that you have to ask yourself is, what are corporates asking of people? Let's take Meta and Mark Zuckerberg. In the summer, he sent out a memo saying a lot of people were coasting in the business. And yet what I hear is of people working minimum of 12-hour days with lots of ad hoc calls, lots of intrusion on their personal lives and their social lives. Bruce Daisley, ex-head of Twitter in London and Europe, says, you know what, people often assume that tech jobs and social media jobs are lightweight jobs. They're not very important, they're not stressful, but the goals and the targets are massive, the pressure is huge, and the hours and the psychological commitment that people make to them is also huge, and that carries a price. Linked to that is a lot of positivity messaging around bringing your whole self to work, being friends with your colleagues, spending what little social time you have hanging out with your colleagues and being friends with them, and yet that is blown, oh dear tree. And yet that is blown up when you get fired by email at dawn, and your own boss didn't know that you were going to get fired. And also, nobody from corporate, nobody behind the decision ever calls to have a chat with you about it, ask how you're feeling, say thanks for what you have done, acknowledge that this is a painful, horrible thing to have happened. None of that. Which has to make us ask, who are these people running these companies, and are they in fact the right people to do it? Let's hear Pete Traynor talking about that.
These companies still think of themselves as startups. They still act as if they're disrupting norms. In my opinion, the idea that you would sack somebody, you would make somebody redundant in the way that they're doing it is almost because they're still trying to behave kind of anti-corporate or anti-rules. The rules don't apply to them. I think that attitude comes from the very, very top. That comes from the founders. It's because the founders of these tech platforms that dominate our lives aren't the primary targets of sexual assault, violence, rape, like all the stuff that goes on the platforms and in their companies. And so the idea that you would sack somebody in that way is probably just a symptom of the fact that they don't know any different. And I'm not defending them either. I'm just saying they don't know the right way to behave.
Which leads us on to the implications. Bruce Daisley asks a great question. Is it that the way that people are treated at this moment will actually stop the best talent going to work for those companies? Or perhaps those people that have the choices maybe say, do you know what? This is an unhealthy relationship. I'm going to do something else. So are there bigger implications for these companies around hiring from the way that they're behaving right now? The second question a lot of people are asking is this just an overdue adjustment? We had bloated companies, lots of people very busy doing busy work but maybe not delivering stuff. In a year, 2 years, will we see more profitable companies with slimmed down workforces? Maybe we will. Still would want to question the way that they're going about this. Third question, which I think is one on all of us, is why are we even remotely surprised? Are we even surprised? These companies have not made great decisions about moderation, about content, about PR. Are we surprised now that they're not treating people brilliantly? And if we're not surprised, then what decisions are we going to make going forwards? I would love to hear your views. What do you see going on? What have I missed? What do you think is going to happen next? And is it, as Wired magazine says, you know, digital talent is still in demand, it's just perhaps not quite as in demand as it was earlier this year when apparently Meta was still hiring 500 people every other week. Although I've had challenge on that data. Again, do drop me a line if you know anything. I'm always interested in hearing. Next week, we're going to talk about the big trends for 2023. I'm going to see you back here.
Every now and then I get a little